Hi, I'm Mia Schulte and I'm coming to you from the Ursay Family YMCA Teaching Kitchen. I'm excited to show you today our homemade chicken pot pies in a handheld format, and I'll tell you a little bit about how you can do it together with your little ones too. So I'm making this a super easy, super quick recipe, but you can definitely make different portions homemade or use what you have on hand to really make it to your own taste. So I have cream of chicken soup that's condensed. I've mixed it with a little bit of milk to thin it out. It's about, I would say, like 2.5 cups of liquid. So I'll pour that into my bowl, and that will serve as like the creamy part of the chicken pot pie. Then I have 2 cups of rotisserie chicken shredded. So I just took the rotisserie chicken apart and then made sure to cut everything up into like smaller bite-sized pieces so you don't have like really big chunks. So I'll add that to my mixture. And then I would typically do frozen vegetable medley, something with peas, carrots, and corn, something like that. They actually were completely sold out of frozen vegetables today at the store. And instead of doing fresh, I decided to do canned, but you could definitely do fresh vegetables as well, just blanching them and then preparing them as you would normally. So I'll add probably about a cup of sliced carrots, around a cup of corn. If I was using the frozen vegetable medley, I'd probably use the entire bag. And then I have small peas. So I have all of that added, and now I will get to my spices. So I have onion powder. I'll do about a teaspoon of each. So I have my onion powder. I'll do oregano. About a teaspoon. Now I have thyme. And I think thyme pairs really well with chicken. It's something I would put in chicken pot pie anyway, so that's something I'm adding. And then I use garlic powder in all sorts of different things that I cook. About 1 teaspoon is equal to 1 clove. I would always go a little bit easy on garlic powder because it can overwhelm your dish, but for this one I know about a teaspoon is great. So I've got all of my spices in there, and then I will take a spoon and just stir it up really quick. While I'm doing this, I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees. And then I have I'm actually using pre-made pie crust. You can find them in the fridge section at your grocery store, usually by where the canned biscuits and canned crescent rolls are. I'm also going to add some salt, and then I'll grab pepper really quick too. So salt will be about a teaspoon. And I just use sea salt or kosher salt, but you can use table salt. And then pepper. And pepper, I use pepper grinders just because you get that fresh flavor, and I'll do probably like 10 grinds. It's not a technical measurement, but it would be probably equal to a teaspoon as well. Give that one more stir. So that's what the filling looks like, and it does really look like your regular chicken pot pie. If you wanted to, you could definitely put your pie crust into a pie dish and make it like traditional pot pie, but I think with kids it's definitely fun to do it in more of a handheld fashion. So I'll unroll my pie crust, and I've done this before where I forgot to thaw the pie crust, and if you do that, if you pull it out at the last minute just because you forgot to like thaw it for about 10 minutes, you can throw the cold one in the microwave for about 15 seconds and it will come to temperature. For this recipe, I know that 1 pie crust will make about 2 handheld pot pies. So I will cut it in half, just separate it. So I know I'll end up folding it over like that, so it'll make a semicircle. So I also use my cookie scoop. This is just an easy way to portion it off, but it's probably about, I'd say, a half cup of filling. I add a little bit extra just based on like how it looks, and then I try to shape it to the size of your crust. So some of it you might be able to buy a square crust. You can trim the sides off if you prefer, but I try to maximize and use as much of the pie crust as I can. So now I have egg wash. This is about half a cup of water and a full egg whipped together. The egg wash acts as a glue between the edges of the pie crust, and I make sure I get the edges really good. And this is definitely the mixing portion you can have kiddos help with. Measuring you can have them help out with. And then the gluing, so using the egg wash, and then the crimping, which we'll get to next, are definitely a fun part for kiddos. So I have, it's kind of shaped like a quarter circle, but I use the fork and really crimp those edges together. This, as it bakes, helps keep the filling in the middle and keeps it from sinking out. And then I will move it onto my baking sheet. And this is another great step for kiddos to help with. Take the egg wash and brush the top. Doesn't have to be perfect, but this is just what helps the crust brown up in the oven nicely. And then I would take a fork and stab it a few times. This just lets the steam come out as it bakes. And repeat the process until you've used everything. Pretty often I have leftover filling. You can always adjust the recipe down, but I tend to take the additional filling and freeze it so I can make it again in a few weeks and already have all of the filling prepped. The oven's preheated again at 350 degrees, and I'll pop all of these in and show you what they look like when they're done. Our chicken pot pies have been in the oven for about 25 minutes, and I'm ready to pull them out. I'll show you what they look like. So you can see they're nice golden brown, and there's a little bit oozed out, but it looks really yummy. So that's what we're looking for. If you wanted to switch it up, you could definitely do the pot pies more of like a sweet version and do like apple, cinnamon, and sugar, or you could do pie filling like cherry pie filling or strawberries or fruit. So you can always switch it up, but today we did a savory version. As always, thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting the Y.